Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the Renee Life Coach channel, where it's all about education, encouragement, and coaching for LGBTQI plus adults. I'm your host, Kelly Renee, and I'm a transgender woman of faith. Let's chat about the frustrations, humor, and challenges of relationships, working, faith, and achieving as we live our authentic lives. I'll help you understand yourself better, unlock your potential, and move forward in sometimes terrifying spaces. Everyone belongs, everyone is welcome, and everyone is valid and loved and oh so appreciated. I'm so excited to get this channel started and look forward to many exciting and fun, value filled conversations as we grow this community together. If you don't hear anything else today, hear this. No matter where you fall on the LGBTQI plus spectrum, you are loved and valued and oh so precious. I see you. Today I wanted to chat about values for a bit and why they're so important and I believe foundational to how we show up in life every single day. I don't know about y'all, but as I've grown personally, I've had to deconstruct some attitudes and beliefs I learned along the way. Sometimes it was really hard because some of the stuff was conditioned in me for years. So, why is it important, you ask? Great question. As I observed people's actions not aligning with their claimed values and ethics, I began to question what it all meant. I learned to question long held beliefs and ask why. If I believe being honest, then how can I justify telling a lie? If I believe in treating people with dignity and respect, then how can I call some people derogatory names, either in person or behind their backs? If I disagree with someone, is yelling and screaming at them going to change their mind, or will it further alienate them? Questions I be- questions I began to ask myself included: why did I believe that? Is that true, or is it someone's perspective? Is there another way to look at an event or action and draw a different conclusion? When I began to systematically question some of the things I had been taught my whole life, my attitudes and what I knew was right began to come into more clear view, and I became a little bolder and a little less apologetic. What I discovered is my values influence my actions. When I'm secure in my values, living into them is not a chore. They become my guide. Now, that's not to say I never screw up. I absolutely do. I am 100% human. Can I get an amen? I, I don't offer this as an excuse, but let's face it, no one's perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. It's called life. So let me ask you a question. What are your values? Not the ones you claim aspirationally, but the ones you're committed to. Well, you know what? Let's back up and talk about what a value is. The dictionary I checked said a value is a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. Hmm. So, sentence example they use: they internalize their parents' rules and values. Wow, that really hit home. I offer for many of us, internalizing our parents' rules and values is or was a real thing. Now, that's not to say they were all good or bad. My parents taught me the value of work and a work ethic. That served me really well over the years. They tried to teach me the value of being on time. Patty, my wife, still struggles with my loss of time, but honestly, I believe it's more related to my ADHD than it is anything else. Oh, my. If you go to the Google for values, you can come up with a bunch of lists with examples. I like Brene Brown's list, and I'll put a link in the show notes for you to look at if you like. How about adventure, or altruism, or commitment, or confidence? Does connection, or cooperation, or courage resonate with you? What about dignity, or diversity, excellence, faith, family, generosity, grace? Maybe hope or humility, pride, truth, success, whatever that means. There's so many to choose from on these lists, and you may identify some of your own values that aren't even on the list. I'll tell you, going through a list like this, it's easy to pick 10 or 12 or even more that look appealing and appropriate. What I suggest and what I offer to you is narrow down the list to those that are core values, the most important. Then ask why those values. Why did I choose those values? And how do I want them to show up in my life? Have you ever thought about how you live into your values or catch yourself when you don't? If you aren't sure what your values are, or if you want to work through an exercise like this to help define them even better, like I said, I'll put that link to Brene Brown's value list in the show notes to get you started. Now, Brene recommends narrowing down your list to 2 core values. That's a pretty slim list. A lot of other people have different views about that. As you go through the list, think about what's important to you. You may see a lot of words that make sense and identify as a value you relate to. The reality is, we can't do it all. So what I offer to you is at least consider how important it could be to pick the ones that most align with who you are. Don't get too discouraged if it takes a few passes to weed out those that are most important to you. If you're struggling at all, it's okay. For my clients that I help, sometimes we need to do this exercise together. But by picking 2 or 3 core values, those values can and will inform our lives. Now, I imagine most of us work for companies or have worked for companies who talk about their values. Many of them even post company values on their website and talk about them in review processes. Not many of them do a really good job of defining or operationalizing how those values translate to day-to-day behaviors. So for each of us, I think it's an important step. It has been for me. So for example, one of my core values is faith. Growing up in a family that was part of a very strict conservative Christian church felt really heavy. It wasn't nearly as much talk about a loving, kind God as there was hellfire and damnation for all sinners. The trauma that creates, especially for children, can stick for a lifetime. And whether you refer to God as God or Spirit or Creator or any other name, it's totally cool. For me, faith is a big part of my value system and it informs my actions. Again, perfection is unattainable. And it took me a really long time to come to grips with this truth. It also allows me to give myself and others grace, that unmerited favor we all deserve when things in life go sideways. Y'all might have a different point of view, and that's perfectly okay. I just wanted to give you some examples to help you as you go through this process for yourself. For me, my faith guides me. My faith informs how I treat others. My faith informs my generosity and sharing of personal resources. My faith allows me to leave space for others and sometimes just to sit in the discomfort of the moment. Another value I cherish is community. I believe that we do so much better when we're in community, supporting one another. Not one human on this earth is perfect. Oh, I think I might have said that already. But at some point in time, we need help and support from others. Community for me is that container that allows me to feel safe enough to share the good days and the bad. It allows me to grow and support others in their growth. It also allows me to struggle and be okay in the midst of the struggle, especially when others are coming alongside me without judgment or condemnation. My last value is courage. This is a hard one. I grew up in an environment where I didn't feel valued when I wasn't performing. Many of my early years were filled with fear of letting other people down. My parents, my relatives, my teachers, my friends. So much so that I would place most of my energy and effort onto others, making sure they were happy. until I reached a critical mass and then self-destructed under the pressure. Last time we talked about all the twists and turns of my career. In the early days, I would go and go and go until I was worn out and lost my ability to make good decisions and think things through. The result was never pretty. People around me got hurt. People I loved. I got hurt. Courage for me represents the ability to stop and stand up for myself. It represents those times. Oh my goodness. It represents those times when I walked a different path from what was expected. I had to come to grips with who I am and to find my own authority. It's a process, and sometimes it's downright messy. Your path to identify your core values will likely look different from mine, and that's okay. If you want 10 core values and you can make sense of it, go for it. The key, I think, is how the values we choose inform our lives and provide direction and guidance. This journey we call life is fun and exciting and oh so very complex at times. What I'm suggesting is that you map for you what that looks like. So when you take a wrong turn, you have something there to refer to. When we do this, we have a way to get back on track. And when we don't do this, we can stay lost for a really long time. Patty laughs at me sometimes when I put the GPS on to go to a place we've been before. She doesn't get it. For me, it's just easier to have those reminders to keep me on the right path. Your values act in the same way. Simply reminders to keep us on track. Just the other day, we were coming back from breakfast and I almost missed my turn. I didn't have the GPS on. I thought I knew my way home. Oh Lord. See, it's probably why we have so many fender benders. Life's like that though. With all this stuff going on, it's so easy to get sidetracked. Hey, if you have space and you want to join in and participate, that would be great. Doing it alone is an option, but so is doing it in community. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And as you know, the more visibility our community receives, the better it is for all of us. Again, I'll leave that link in the show notes for Brene Brown's list of values. If you decide to do the exercise, stop back and comment or drop me a message. As I wrap up today, one final thing. I'd love your input. I want to make sure the content we present here is helpful to our community. What's on your mind these days? What keeps you awake at night? What's going well? Do you have an experience you'd like to share? Look, no topics are off limits. Is it coming out to family, to friends, at work, at school? Is it learning how to be a good ally? Is it developing your own internal authority? Maybe it's dating or relationships in general. How about school? Do you procrastinate and need help learning how to overcome procrastination? That's a huge issue for so many people. How about family relationships, the ones we're born into and the ones we choose? Well, look, hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Let me know what you're experiencing and what will be most interesting. The links are in the notes. It'll help us again plan content for this channel in the future. Until next time, y'all be well, be blessed, and stay safe. And know I love you all so, so very much. Take care now.